Hello ladies, gentlemen and goblins. Right, I want to have a little bit of a rant and talk about this thing where somebody says, oh, that would be bad RP, or that wouldn't work. This is about restrictive thinking in role plays, and sometimes trying to make something too realistic gives the group dynamic restrictions and then thusly creates something unrealistic. Because if you want something to be realistic, then the chance of really amazing things being able to happen always has to be there as well. For example, if you're like us, avoid party composition that is one dwarf, one elf, maybe one halfling or something like that, and then fill the rest up with humans, trying to go for that Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring sort of thing. And you'll notice that all of these other stories copy that, don't they? On the art, they portray one of each race and that sort of thing. I can see why they're trying to do it, to sell the game, because they're trying to show all of the races in it. It doesn't mean you as a party have to follow that lead. Why can't you all just be halflings? Just all halflings. Just play as all halflings if you want. Or just play as just be humans. Why has it got to be an elf? Why? Just all be elves then. Why? What about just all elves and dwarves and nothing else? Would that seem unacceptable to some of you? Why? In the entire existence of the world, that has to at least have a chance of happening, right? You can't say, oh well, someone's going to have to be the human. As soon as somebody said that, the possibility for absolute realism is destroyed. If this was a fully functioning, actual real world, that would sometimes happen. Especially something of like all the same race even. Like, let's just say it's dwarves all come out of a hold to go on some big mission together. And maybe as a result of that mission they then get disgraced and can't go back to their hold, and then they become a travelling group together. I've spoken to an experienced role player before, and I remember telling him about Tordrad from their Fated Travels, a character who is from the Warhammer Fantasy 2nd edition campaign that we did, and he's a Kislev-born Kossar. So we said, alright, he can't speak any Reichsspiel. He can only speak his northern language, and none of us know his language. And this experienced role player, he turned to me and he said the following words: that wouldn't be realistic. In Kislev, they are taught Reichsspiel as well. In the entire existence of an entire country full of people, you think it's absolutely certain that absolutely every single one of them will absolutely know Reichsspiel without fail, every single person, that there won't be one person who didn't want to learn it for some reason, couldn't be bothered, he was too busy out perhaps doing his horseback archery and his martial training, he's already learnt the native tongue of his land, he's too stubborn, doesn't want to learn the land of the Empire, doesn't like the Empire people, thinks they're a bunch of softies like the Kislev people do, but took that as far as to not have learnt Reichsspiel. Why is that so strange? If you want to bring realism back onto the table, you have to have an open mind to things and not be challenging like this. You can't say, oh well, that wouldn't be realistic, because they are taught it. They are, but he wasn't. You justify it by cause of existence, not by rationale of should it exist. You as the player have the power to just say, well, it already exists now, as long as you don't take the piss and say, this exists, now I shall tell you why it exists. I want to challenge all of you out there to get your minds thinking about this. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm completely speaking out of my rear end on this? Have you had this go wrong? I'd love to hear what you've got to say, but it is my absolute opinion, and it's always down to the player themselves to gauge whether they're enjoying their own experience. So they have to have their own rules and barriers and boundaries to what makes role-playing fun for them. And for me personally, as an individual, I have to say that the chance of something being realistic must always be on the table. There must always be a chance for that strange thing to perhaps come to bear in this case. Again, as long as you don't overdo it and take the piss.